Well, welcome to The Line, where we are talking to people about where their line is for AI use and where the ethics of AI gets developed socially through conversation.
Lived in the moment.
And lived in the moment, yeah. We're going to be joined today by Kyle Brun, who actually was my professor, the one who saved me from the 100% AI Turnitin score by
That
showing
wasn't
me
even
his
planned either, right?
It wasn't even planned.
We wanted to talk to Kyle long before this bubbled up.
Yeah, and because I knew that like Kyle is someone who he himself, like his line is
It's pretty
far down there. Like he's pretty into AI and the various uses of AI, which you'll see comes through in this interview, where I will tell you, like, I was surprised, Matthew. His district and his school in particular seems really open to AI use, like no hesitation, which I think is something we have not seen before.
Yeah, like I remember when we were talking to Jess and the Jess R or Jess T, excuse me, a new Dr. Jess T. And she was talking about how they used Copilot. So they were a Microsoft ecosystem, and about how folks were saying, use it, use it, use it. But it felt different talking to Kyle about how they were doing it as a district, right? It felt like there was more of a group effort, more of almost like a shifting culture. But then Kyle said something about this is part of what they do, right? This is part of who they are, is they are more likely than not as a district to lean in. And then how that's connected to leadership, how that's connected to their PD, how that's connected to, right? He spoke really highly of all those folks that he works with.
Well, he actually brought in this semester to come and speak to us. I couldn't tell you what his title is. He was
I forgot,
the director of technology or something for the district.
Yeah, how was that?
Well, it was interesting because he's worked with OpenAI before and helping them to, or being a part of their
guy, not
Kyle. Yes, the guy from his district.
Okay.
The district and him, they've worked with OpenAI and in their like OpenAI for schools or for educators system, and helping them sort of like figure out what that's going to look like and being a part of that early phase of things. But that to me is like, that itself is a sign of the culture of that district, which is like you said, is to lean in on everything. And not only are we going to adopt this, but we're going to try and become leaders in this. Yeah. Now, I will say my personal perspective on it is that it feels a little over gung-ho. Like, I think that they're going a little too hard into it without really thinking too hard about
maybe
what it means. I think it opens a really interesting question for, well, I think it leads to the line of question that you and I always have, right? Like, it's like, neither of us doubt that AI is useful for lots of things, and AI is a wonderful tool for lots of things. But the question that sort of like frames the relationship you and I have and frames the research we do is, for you, is what is it to teach, and for me, what is it to learn? And I think that I don't know that people are putting the big thinking into that yet. And so for me, for a district to go all in on AI use and to like really embrace it, I think is smart on one hand, because I think you're giving teachers an opportunity to mess with it, which I think you and I have found through our research that the more opportunities teachers have to like implement it in their own personal use and to figure out what their own identities are within AI is better for the teachers. And I think no doubt it's providing opportunities for things to become efficient, things to become, allowing teachers to have more time for other things. Absolutely. But I do wonder what it's going to mean for those students and those teachers, when I don't know that we've put enough thought into that sort of big picture thinking yet of like, what is this going to mean for their learners?
And is this an example of, remember from the very way back when we first started talking about this, is this just the polar opposite of the anti, right? Right. We've got the folks who are like block, right? Blocking everything. And then we've got, maybe this is the leaning into it. Right. Or what is that statistical mean of measure where there's like, it depends on where the mode is, right? Or is because the ante is so far over here that when we have a moderate position, it feels radical, but it's not radical. It's actually moderate. Who knows, right? I don't know. But it does. But I remember having this conversation with Kyle and feeling refreshingly like, oh, this is a nice, different conversation to have. Other than, hold up.
Right.
Like, no, we're trying.
Well, that's why I think this is so difficult, is because like there's no way of knowing unless we try it, right? there's no way of knowing how this is going to work unless we try it.
I know, and it bugs me so much that when we try to think about it and make rules around it without trying.
Yeah. Now I will say, like, actually, this led to an interesting conversation with my sister. So I will say that one of the things that I left this conversation with Kyle was was how many teachers are maybe against the idea, but they're feeling pulled into this, like they have to. Mm-hmm. But also, I wonder how many teachers just don't care.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, and I think this is where at least my conversation with my sister. My sister works in politics, so she was thinking all the time about like voters and how they vote and whatever. Mm-hmm. And there is sort of this like bell curve of voters where you've got the very vocal ones who are protesting, who are leading campaigns, who are doing all the things, and then you've got the other side of it, the people who are very against it, blah blah blah, and then in the middle are a bunch of people who.
They're just trying to get through their day.
They're just trying to get through the day, right? Like they don't necessarily care all that much, or not that they don't care, but like they're not thinking about it. They're not really thinking about it. And I wonder how many people, you and I are like always talking about AI, always
trying to,
and we are involved in conversations with people about AI. But it does make me think like, how many people are just in the middle of this bell curve where they are just like it's never even a thought. Have you seen the statistic of like if you are someone who uses Claude Code or who like uses Codex, you're in the like 1% or something like that.
And that even could be BS, right? That who knows? I know that could just be clickbait. But for a split second, I do feel a little special, which is of course what they want me to feel.
Right.
And then I said to Sean, I met with. I had a fantastic meal with Periwinkle and colleagues over the weekend, and we were talking again about the interview and how things have changed for them and for us. And I even mentioned like you and I building our dashboards. It's just an example. Mm-hmm. And Periwinkle was like, "What are you talking about?"
Right?
In a way of like it's the you and I and the leapfrog, right? Like, oh my gosh, what would that even mean? And I'm like, you got to get into Claude Code. You just got to give it a go. Interestingly, what I said to this group when we were talking about this, to try to bring it, because when you and I get into this conversation, we can become like a little bubble and nobody else around us knows what we're talking about. So I tried not to do that with this group. And so I said to them to bring others in the group. What I'm finding really interesting about that part of the AI journey is I actually feel, and this is the part that drives me also bonkers, when people talk about cognitive debt and other things like that, I feel my brain still feels like on fire, like I'm learning. Like there is one way to do the vibe coding thing or building our apps, whatnot, where you just say, do it, right? And then every once in a while, I'll stop and go, explain to me the choices you made and why you made it. Why didn't we go this way? Mm-hmm. What does this word mean? What does this code mean? And it feels like I'm learning. I don't think I could take a test on it. I don't think I could do it by myself. Right. But I don't feel empty in the way that I think people who don't know what they're talking about are describing when it comes to offloading your cognition. Do you know what I'm saying? Is this making sense?
Yeah. Well, I think it's that people look for a clear black and white answer for things and without nuance. And this is just another one of those things that requires a lot of nuance. Yeah. And I'll and in terms of people who just don't even think about it, or who maybe think about it without using it, I'm gonna bury the lead here because we don't have time to talk about this. But like a sign that people are talking about this is that the Pope just dropped this encyclical, right? This humongous thing about AI use, and it's become now that has made it part of a conversation, which I think is so interesting. But that is a topic for another time. We are keeping this tight. We are. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this interview with Kyle. I think it's fascinating. Kyle is a great speaker. He's really engaging, and he knows what he's talking about.
And he's a really great guy, and just
and he's a good guy.
He's a great colleague too.
All right, so we will catch you on the other side. Well, I'm very excited to introduce one of my professors for this semester, Dr. Kyle Brun, who is an assistant principal in the Garnet Valley School District. And if you listen to a previous episode where I went on my little rant about Turnitin, it is Kyle who is the one who showed me the behind the scenes. And, thank God it was Kyle and not another professor who might have had some less kind things to say about it. But Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the program and talking to us about your AI use.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
But I just have to say, this is my bragging part, which is that Dr. Kyle Brun, I have now, who I appreciate and look up to as a colleague and thought partner. We have gone, Kyle, how long? We've known each other for 4, 5, 6 years. It's been a while.
5 years, because 3 in the program.
5 years. Yeah. So like we've gone from like 700, the beginning of the program, all the way through 702 to on the other side of your dissertation, getting to sort of watch from the side to now you're teaching in the program, which hallelujah, right? That you're back and teaching in the program. It's just really cool. And it's nice to be still connected in this new and different way.
Yeah. And it's a really fun for me to be able to take, the side of academic research that I learned and being in a district and working as an assistant principal and administrator and apply it and have people to talk to and think about. So this is a great opportunity. So I appreciate it.
Well, Kyle, we always start by asking, what tools are you using? What are you using them for? What does your AI life look like?
Well, I mean, the best way to answer that is I use whatever tools I can find as quickly as I can find them. I mean,
that's interesting though, right?
Yeah.
So I am always in looking for different tools that can do different things. Now, I will tell you my go-to every day, I use ChatGPT every single day.
Okay.
That is my thought partner. That's what I use to run ideas by, clarify my communications, but really thought partner there. Like I will, this sounds crazy, but on my drive home, I get these ideas in my head and I turn on the voice.
And you start talking to
And so ChatGPT is the one I'm the most comfortable with and I use the most often. However, what I'm learning about AI and what I love about AI is people are starting to create tools that do certain specific things really well. So for example, GoPol, G-O-L-P-O, GoPol. GoPol, have you ever seen those YouTube video clips where someone wants to explain a concept and it's like the drawings of the people and it's like a graphic, like it puts the little pencil and the person as your narrator. It does that and it does it phenomenally well. So if you need a 4-minute, I need to get an idea across in that cool little I talk in this graphic
kind of draws itself out.
Yeah, it's really neat. So that's
Is it free?
Oh, Garnet Valley Garnet Valley, where I work, is super supportive of AI. We have an account for it. Now, it has a free component, but I don't know what the limitations are.
No, got it. But I know I had not heard of this.
Oh, that's a really good one. And Napkin AI is another really good one.
What is Napkin?
Napkin AI does visual graphics, like almost infographics. So you can put in any information. You can put in a paper, an outline, or do a prompt and say, give me a graphic that shows blank. And it makes a visually appealing thing that's designed for presentations or like a 1-pager or something like that. Yeah.
Huh.
So
there, you've just taught me 2 new ones.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So those are 2. And in the world of education, 90% of my job is how do I effectively communicate information? So most of my AI use is around effective communication.
So you said Garnet Valley is pretty supportive of AI use. Are there tools? I know you said you have a what's it called? GoPol?
GoPol.
GoPol. Are there other services that Garnet Valley is like all in on that they've paid for, for site licenses or access to? Yeah.
Yeah. Our teachers every teacher has a ChatGPT license. Every teacher
is that district wide or is that school wide?
District wide.
So when you were, I'm so sorry. So when you were saying you talk to yours, are you engaging with your work ChatGPT or do you have a personal private?
Great question. I have both. Okay. I have both. I use the work one because it's paid, but we each have our own account on the work one. Does that make sense? So I have my Garnet Valley, my name. I use that because of the pay. I'm not going to pay for ChatGPT when it's already paid for by my district. Do you get what I mean? But if I'm just doing prompts, I'll use my private one, but the voice and all of that comes with the paid and the image generation is so much better. I use my Garnet Valley one almost all the time for that, but they pay for GoPol, Napkin, Magic School AI for all our teachers, Notebook LM. I think,
Yeah.
we use that a lot. So those are all.
Are you a Google school?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so and then that comes along with Google.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that comes with it. Yeah. But
So
even
what?
and let me clarify this, right? So this is where the world gets interesting. So we
Right.
have paid subscriptions for our teachers, but our teachers also get a paid Canva account through Garnet Valley. And Canva has its own built-in AI. So
Right.
at what point are you buying services that are supported by AI versus direct AI services? That's, where that's why we're so in on it, because you can't pretend that the AI isn't there for other things as well.
Do you find that the teachers are using it? Maybe not as much as you are, but like they've bought into it there at the school.
Yeah, are they leaning in?
Yeah. Oh, they're leaning in, but it's a progressive leaning in. Anybody who is into AI knows, like, it tends to start with, write me this email, right?
Right.
Like, you do the very basic prompts. Every one of our teachers is doing that at this point. Then there's the next group who are starting to use AI to design me a lesson. How can I tweak this? I need an enrichment activity. I need, some discussion questions. And then the highest level of teachers are starting to use AI with the kids. And so, for example, we have a 7th grade science teacher who did an activity. They were talking about adaptations, and they had their students pick 2 animals and use AI to combine the animals to see what adaptations would come out, create an image, but then also analyze what environment would this animal thrive in and why, what would they outcompete, what would be its predators, what would be its
interesting.
And the kids are doing this. So that's where we have a whole bunch of different levels then.
Has there been any parent response to that?
Yes. Yes. Here's where our superintendent is just very good at his job. So before we do any of this, he is big on incorporating stakeholders in the whole conversation. So we do not believe, and we've been very clear about this, that banning technology is effective, because kids get access. So we believe in teaching the proper use of technology and then holding kids accountable. So we had a committee. We built all these digital citizenship lessons that we embedded kindergarten through 12th grade. And they teach not just AI. AI is a huge component of it, but also just what is digital citizenship? What is digital literacy? What is appropriate use? What is not appropriate use? And then as a district, we adopted the stoplight, the pretty standard stoplight method. Green, you can use AI. Yellow with restrictions. Red, it's AI no. And we are very clear with our students what they can use. And then when parents ask us and push back, we explain very clearly that our use of AI is intentional and it is deliberate. It is not open. And that's where we are very clear. So we get pushback, but ultimately we feel very strongly about our philosophy, our talking points, and we do well with that. So it's been very positive experience in our district.
This just strikes me that I'm going to ask this question. Of course, I'm going to ask this question. Is somebody researching this? Because this is not the norm.
Yeah.
And someone needs to be doing an ethnography of your district to capture this moment in time, because this feels abnormal.
Yeah.
I would say it is abnormal, but I will also say Garnet Valley's culture is always been innovative first. And we believe in being out front so we can shape initiatives and shape cultural changes to our needs as a district. We're very big on that. You hear that word personalized learning, but we truly believe it. And we believe to help our students be successful, not only today, but in the future, we want to shape what that looks like. We don't want to be reactionary. I will say a lot of it is credit to a lot of people working as a team, but our director of technology is super innovative. And when this first happened, he reached out to, is it OpenAI? Who, I always forget, who does ChatGPT? What's their company's?
OpenAI. Yeah,
OpenAI. And I think he still is the educational representative on their core group. So he's had meetings with their head people to try to say, hey, don't forget to put this into your AI stuff to try to shape it for education. So yeah, I mean, to answer the question, yes, it should be studied. I don't know.
Yeah,
well, it's just so interesting that everyone has been, it's really interesting that everyone has, it sounds like the teachers have all jumped on board and are using it, because that, like Matthew said, this is not, we've done this research, we've spoken to districts, and that is not the case. There always seems to be a group who push back on it, a group who's all in on it, and a group who just doesn't seem to have any sort of opinion on it.
Sean, it's interesting you say that, because I always get nervous when I hear the word "all the teachers," right? So, let me tell you where we are getting pushback. It's not in the use of AI as a tool. Our educators are really on board with that. They're pushing back on the ethical use of AI from an environmental standpoint, believe it or not. If we are encouraging this, but we know the amount of electricity it takes, and is it sustainable, and for a tool, like, is the juice worth the squeeze, is essentially the argument we get. And it's an interesting argument that we didn't necessarily anticipate. So I don't know if you're hearing that in other districts, that ethical conundrum of some people struggling with just the environmental impact that they're reading about with AI.
Yeah, I would call it an undercurrent. I would say it's never anybody's first pushback, but it seems to always come up in some respect. And I don't know, it is something that I think about all the time also, but I think the mindset that I'm in about that is that these energy is not cheap, and these companies need a ton of energy, and they are profit first companies, right, who will need to establish ways to get energy cheaply and more effectively. And that process will always inevitably lead to more sustainable electrical generation. And so I'm hopeful that that's going to fix itself, I guess, down the line.
And we agree completely. Like, that tends to be our response, is that we only see this getting better. Like, we believe that.
So Kyle, in your use, are there spots, you're an assistant principal, so a lot of like student facing, parent facing, I'm assuming a lot of disciplinary things too, right? So are there points in your professional life where you realize, like, okay, AI can't do this, I need to go do this myself, I need to this can't be something that AI can touch?
Can I be honest? No.
Say more.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that. If you're asking, are there things in my life that AI can't create, the answer is yes. But I don't use AI to do a lot of blind creation. I use it a lot as a thought partner. So let's talk about, like, you just gave a perfect example, discipline, where I'm working with students and parents. You better believe, when I know I'm going into a difficult discipline, I might use AI to say, here's what I'm about to walk into, here's my thinking, what am I missing here, right?
Where are my blind spots?
Right. So, like, do I use AI to talk to the student? No. But do I use AI to make sure I'm doing right by families, doing right by students, checking my boxes, making sure I'm not missing things in almost everything I do? So it's kind of like asking, is there a time you don't use the internet? Well, yeah, sometimes I'm not, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to use the internet to influence the things I do in everyday life.
Yeah. So at this point, it is like, it's just fully incorporated into your work. Yeah.
AI is no different for me than like I said, the internet or my phone or anything else. So it's incorporated. Now, could I be using it more effectively? I'm sure. Like, I know of people who are using it to code, and our director of technology built a whole new website for our teachers to track professional development using coding through there's a term for it, and I don't even know, but it's this
vibe coding.
Vibe coding.
Yeah.
Vibe coding.
Yes, yeah. So and I'm like, I didn't even know about that, right?
Oh, but, Kyle, when you're ready to go down that path, just let us know.
That was a big jump for both Matthew and I.
Yeah. And like what he's producing, I'm like, holy, this is incredible. Like, how are you doing it? But the potential is there for it to continue to grow and enhance my life and stuff. But to say that I don't, it's embedded for me.
Kyle, we spoke to somebody who was not happy with the price of their LMS, and so they vibe coded an LMS for their school.
An entire LMS?
Yeah. You would think. Whoa. I know. That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? It pushes your brain, but once you see it, it's like I keep saying this to you, Sean. It's like touch the matrix and you see,
Yeah, all of a sudden
right?
you're like, oh wait,
You're like, whoa,
there's just green numbers everywhere around us.
I'm having because like maybe y'all can help me sort of think this one out, and maybe this will also land with you, Kyle. There's this way of being with AI, if I can be philosophical for a second, where we as humans keep trying to push it and test it, which I think is exactly what we're doing, right? I think that's what humans do. Invent tools and then play with them and figure out what works and what doesn't work is my point. But if the shovel breaks, you just throw away the shovel, or you like go get another shovel, right? But with AI, when you bump into a problem, and this will happen sometimes with Sean, I'll text Sean when I'm doing a vibe code or whatever and go, God, I've hit this wall. And it'll take me a couple of minutes and then I'll realize, oh my gosh, it's not the AI's fault, or it's not the problem is the solution, or the solution is the problem. I can't figure out which one the logic is. If I'm making sense. Sean, is this making sense? Like, it's just you hit the wall and you go, wait a minute. The wall becomes the condition that you have to give back, right? And it's one of the things when I'm talking with people who have not actively played or worked in these spaces, and they'll say, "Oh, it can't do blah," and you're like,
"But it can."
so you haven't had this experience, right? Where you say, "Oh, it can't blah blah blah." Well, have you told it to do blah blah blah? And then you keep doing that, and that's where you realize, well, hold on, this is a different. Is there a name for this? What is this that I'm describing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're talking about the challenge with any tool or skill. It's what you put in determines what comes out. And I hate to say it, but like all of those barriers and everything, I liken it to Minecraft. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Minecraft, right?
I'm familiar.
Okay, so my kids played it, and then as I would play with them, and then before you know it, I love this game, right? And do you know how many times you build something and you get to the end, you're like, wow, that's amazing, and then you completely destroy it and start again, and you make little tweaks, and then all of a sudden a shift happens, and now you're thinking about it in a different way, and you can construct things you never conceived of before.
Exactly.
So
what is that? What is that, Kyle? Name it. We're going to be famous.
It's iteration. It's iterative cycle.
Ooh, you want to go philosophical? it's paradigm shifts. You're shifting paradigm, right? Like that's what you're doing. You're shifting the way the universe, cosmology, right? It's your understanding of how things work. You gain a piece of knowledge and changes your understanding, man.
People who was going to drop cosmology, I thought it was going to be me. But no, it's Dr. Brun over here dropping cosmology.
Understanding the universe. So,
right? You're right, though.
We talk about the epistemology of AI use and like how it completely changes how we are thinking about knowledge sources and how knowledge is used and where knowledge is coming from. It's a whole epistemic thing that we need to reckon with here.
Upheaval.
Not to geek out, but like I'm hearing this is does AI prove constructivism? Because
right?
I'm just saying I was right all along. No, anyway.
when Kyle takes over the world, which is what I'm advocating for.
No, but the thing that's tough about this is when you're in a room of people who all love AI and like can talk and have fun like this. But we also should recognize the other part of it, which is there is a real fear that all the people who are doing this for good intentions end up unlocking a potential that we know will be used for other ways. For example, one of the biggest uses of AI right now is in pornography, right? It's completely unlocked worlds there that people are profiting off of. Have you heard of chat girlfriends, AI chat girlfriends and stuff?
Yeah. Well, like deep fakes and things,
No, not that. There's people there's AI sites now where you start talking to an AI who has a personality and people are building relationships with these.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm like, I know.
Okay, there's a line.
There's a line. But yeah, it's like... we always say about this podcast and what Matthew and I are doing with these conversations is that we are constructing these ethics as we go because
on the fly, right? And that feels like whoa.
Yeah. But because these things pop up, you talk about all the like third party apps that you're using that pop up. Like these things pop up every single day, and now that we're vibe coding stuff, it's definitely coming up every single day. And like the legal guidelines are incredibly gray. You
The
know,
legal
Matthew and I talk about copyright for stuff. It is so gray, and it is something that will, I don't think will ever be guided by policy or guided by law. It's only going to be guided by a social ethics.
and Sean, thank you for saying that, because the reality with all of this is that you're not wrong. Policies are not able to articulate the challenges. They're gonna try. They're gonna try, right? But the social ethics will ultimately find those bounds, right? And I do 100% agree with that.
And that's why, like, it's so interesting to me that you're.
Sorry,
I was gonna say it's so interesting to me that your school has like fully gone into it, because so that tells me that there is a cultural social ethics in your school that has been adopted already. Your teachers have agreed to an ethics of how AI is going to be used, and that's something that we don't see in other schools, let alone in other communities or groups of people.
And I think what I like about, sorry, that's not the right way to put it. I think what is impressive and honorable about it is a leaning in that adopts agency rather than being at the effect of. And there are majority of people are at the effect of other things that are happening, and that puts you on your back foot, right? As opposed to the leaning in, where it's like, well, are there going to be bridges that burn? Yeah. Are there going to be bridges that are built? Yeah. And we're going to learn and figure it out, because again, sorry, I feel like I'm on my soapbox, but this is like humans. This is what we do. We invent things and we play with them, and then we figure out, does it do this? Ooh, it does that really well. Maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. Right?
Yeah. Well, and I think you're hitting on a major component here, which is there's the idea of learning the tools and how to implement the tools, but there is the I'm going to call it the responsibility of leaders in communities and in organizations to own the ethical considerations and own the leaning in and the communication of helping the community find those boundaries. Because again, it's the difference to exactly what you said. It's you either get caught reacting or you proactively have the discussions and say, we know this could happen, but that we know that that's not okay. So here's what we do to address that. So I think, it's fun though. It's a fun world. Like, has it hit you two? Like, sometimes I sit there and I go, all right, I didn't really realize when computers came that I was in the middle of experiencing a generational change. Yeah. And now I'm in a generation, like I'm seeing it.
We're here. It feels like Kyle, it feels like the dawn of the internet, and it feels like the dawn of social media.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like, I feel like there are times when I say to Sean sometimes, I got to go touch grass, man. Because, right. But sometimes I will just stop and I will look out my window and I will just my brain just explodes. Yeah. It's like reorganizing.
I use ChatGPT and say, give me a field of green. And then I look at that.
You had me there. I was like,
we're going to vibe code the grass touching simulator.
So Kyle, the obvious thing is that we, like Sean sort of alluded to earlier, we started this because we were having these conversations and realized, oh my gosh, people might want to listen to us talk about this. And if we get people who are in this conversation in other ways, they'll want to listen to all of us talk about it. Yeah. The other thing we're learning is we can't do it all in one go, right? Not only because the topic is so big, but it's changing, right? 2 months ago, 3 months ago is very different than where we are right now. Last week is different than where we are now, right? Claude, Anthropic was throttling the use of their new model, and then that's
now they got to deal with SpaceX, yeah.
Right now, exactly, right? So all that is to say, when we get back and recover, we'll have to have you back on, right? And do a whole other round of a whole other conversation.
See how things change, So
yeah. And to that point, a little behind the scenes, like we're recording this 3 weeks before it's going to release. Like things are going to change, and we've already seen that. Matthew and I have had to re-record an intro to an episode already because things were different before the episode came out.
Yeah, because then you sound like you're out of touch, right?
Yeah, exactly. But Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a great conversation, and I'm fascinated by how your school has just gone all in on it.
And I'm so grateful that we're still in touch, and even in this new and different way, because you're such a cool person.
Oh, thank you, guys. Cool. And this is so fun for me, and I love being able to step away for a second, have conversations like this, because life gets busy, but I do see so much value in talking about it and seeing where we might end up. So
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
And thank you for not kicking me out of the program for my 100% AI score on Turnitin.
Sean, you'll be happy to know your last paper only was 75%.
So okay, good.
You're only 75. You're getting better.
It's because I added in some spelling errors and grammatical errors.
You made the writing worse. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yep.
Thank you. The coolest thing for me is getting to work and talk with somebody that we've literally gone full circle. Like we've gone from professor, instructor to not committee member, but like unofficial committee member to watching him do his research to friend, right? To now colleague. It's just really cool. I think how so cool.
Well, it's fun. It's also fun to talk to Kyle outside of the classroom, where he and I have a student-teacher relationship right now,
Exactly.
where he's my professor, and we have good conversations. But you can be a little more open and honest about things, I think, when you're not in the classroom anymore. Yeah,
100%. And
when I have submitted my final papers to him last week, so I'm all good.
But what a unique perspective. I don't know that we've had anybody talk like this.
Well, we talk about the incorporation of tools. If we're going to get phenomenological and talk about the body schema, he has incorporated AI 100% into his body schema. It is now a part of him, and to a point where like it doesn't even there's no even thought to it. The same way that we open a browser to go to wherever, which is what he talked about. It's the same as the internet, right? The same way that we open a browser without any thought, he is happy to open whatever without any thought, whatever AI tool. Not to say without any thought. I'm sure that he has thoughts about.
No, there's thought because it's the same thing when we talk about when it's like the Merleau-Ponty. You go back through to Dewey, the habit. It's a habit, not a habit like we normally talk about, but like a habit in a phenomenological sense. It's right. It's true. What I'm not comfortable with. Sorry to jump right into the ethics of it too soon for a podcast about ethics. There's language around like cognitive debt or like. That but I don't think it's accurate. I don't think it's accurate. I think it's different. I don't think it's dead. I think it's different. It's like measuring it's like apples and oranges. It's a different paradigm. It's a different way of thinking. It's extension and extending our thinking. It's like saying to the blind person who walks with the cane, well, if you didn't use that cane, like, wow, you're really.
Yeah, you're offloading your
ability
to the cane.
Your ability to the cane. And in that context, then you sort of, maybe people can hear it and go, wow, that's ridiculous. Well, we're not. It's a parallel argument, I think.
Yeah. I do think it is fascinating to me that his entire school seems to have
gone in.
I'm not sure I fully buy into the idea that every teacher is on board.
No, but I get. I bet you, in living in that context, people are at least leaning in.
Well, and like he talked about, like if there's a culture of I guess being on the cutting edge, right, of buying into progressive technological changes, then that can already be there.
It would already be sort of not the expectation, but that is what it is.
Well, and to the point that I was trying to make too is they're not doing it by policy. They're not doing it by like rule. They're doing it by a culture change and like we talk about a social creation of an ethics in the school. Where people are recognizing, maybe they're not, but people are recognizing it as a cognitive, whatever we want to call it, extension, right? Not a cognitive debt.
Maybe we should talk. I mean, maybe not right now, but maybe we should talk about this further. Like we really need to. How we talk about things matters, and sorry, that seems like an empty platitude, but the way in which we keep talking about it keeps like reinscribing sort of silently some assumptions that maybe we shouldn't necessarily be making. I don't have a good answer to that, if I'm honest.
I think that we make assumptions around language often. I know that I'm in a language mode right now because I'm just thinking about language all the time. I think we make a lot of assumptions about language, about epistemologies,
about people and how they act and behave and think and believe.
Yep. About what knowledge even is in the first place.
I think we make assumptions about. I like this game we're playing.
Yeah,
by the way,
me too.
I like it. I think we make assumptions about what it means for change to happen. Like people like to make evolutionary or developmental arguments with a dramatic misunderstanding of the actual arguments made by those theories, right? For example, these are making us dumber. Well, it depends on a lot, and the depends on is the assumptions, right? Well, what assumptions are you asking?
Well, and I think to that point, like I'm gonna pull from Michel Serre because that's what I'm reading right now. There is no such thing as a binary for this.
It's made up. It's fake.
It's fake. There's no binary for AI use where it's like it's good, it's bad, right? There's so much nuance to this. Is there some cognitive offload? I'm sure there is some cognitive offload.
But
are we establishing there's also cognitive gain, right? And I think that it's silly of us to use binary language to try and explain this.
From a Kieran standpoint, from an Egan standpoint, he would say that the binary that binary itself as an idea is a cognitive tool. It's a tool. It's a thing that we use to help, we being humans, that humans use to help us understand things. It's not bad. It just is, right? So we start when we're very little, somatic. We look at the twos on our body, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 lips, 2 hands, 2 legs. We're bipedal, right? We walk left, right. We have 2 lungs, right? The 2 is everywhere. Yeah. So the fundamental understanding would be the somatic, the body, which is why I'm referencing that because you and the body. But then the next thing that happens is it jumps up into the mythic understanding, which is oral language. What do we do when we tell stories? We tell about also binaries, good and bad, light and dark, right? Beginning and end. Why? And it feels so satisfying to us as humans when there's a binary. Why? Because we can understand it. Now, the problem is that's where we stop. And no one asks the question or keeps pushing beyond. It's not that binaries are bad. It's just that they're too simplistic and we don't keep going. As you continue to grow in language and understanding and epistemology and knowledge and whatnot, you realize there are shades. It's more complicated.
Right. It's a gradient.
It's a gradient.
Yeah.
And you can, when you have to talk about it, sure, you can drop it back down into a binary. But forgetting that you dropped it down from the complex doesn't, you know what I mean? Something happens there.
But the binary is the cause and effect of the quantification of everything.
Cause, effect, binary.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Right?
There you go.
We love it. It's so addictive. It's addictive. We're addicted to meaning. We're addicted to binary.
Yeah, which again, like I want to go to Kyle's school and I want to find out because I know it's not a binary. I know that not every teacher is like, yep, got it, we're using it, and not every teacher is saying no, we hate it. And so I want to figure out what the gradient is. What is the gradient?
And is there only one gradient? Because there's probably lots of different gradients. All these are simplifications, right, of the complexities of reality and our human relationships and our knowledge and understanding. It's just we forget that the map is not the thing itself, right? The language is not the thing itself. I mean,
I think even for Kyle, who I think you and I both recognize as like the most
leaning in.
The most leaning in of people that we've spoken to or people that we know. Even for him, it's not an easy binary of yes, no. Like there are times, but for him, it's more of like a how do I describe it? He talks about it like just opening a browser and doing it when it's there. But other times it's not even a thought. He's not having a conversation in his head of, well, should I use AI for this or not? He's just like, oh, well, no, I wouldn't use AI for this because I'm not using the internet for this.
Right. But there is a line. So I mean, he jokingly said at the beginning, or when we asked the question, not at the beginning, that no, there's there's not one. Like, right. There is.
There is.
There was, like, when we got to the girlfriend relationship thing, all three of us went, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, we bounced off of that like it was an electric fence.
But maybe there's just not a line that he's encountered yet. Like, he hasn't actually gone to the AI girlfriend thing. You know what I mean?
I think we need more time. But I think that there's some there. And I think he probably has if we had pushed. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can talk about it next time. Here you go. Tell us about, but this gets questionable, the last time a student pushed the boundaries with it, because there's where a line would show up.
Right.
And how did y'all deal with it as a staff, as admin? How'd you talk about it with parents? Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was curious about the parent perspective of it all. And he did say, like, parents pushed. It was interesting too that he thought his interpretation was that the majority of the pushback was environment, which is interesting.
Another example of where I think it's too simple. I think it's way too
simple. It's far too simple. Yeah. Huh. Well, it was a good episode.
I know. I just want to talk about it more. I want to talk
about it more. I'm glad to have had a chance to have Kyle on here. I'm glad to have had Kyle as a professor, especially to have Kyle as the professor when I had my Turnitin incident.
Yeah. You won the
we'll have to
lottery
have
on
him
that one.
back. Yeah, right. I can't imagine if that was a different professor. We'll have to have him back. We'll have to have him back. I have to say, we are approaching what will be the end of this season. Yeah, we decided to have 10 episodes. This is episode 9. So we'll have one more after this. Yeah. We'll have a short break, and then Matthew and I have been talking about what to do next with this, and I think
we have a plan.
We have a little bit of a plan, so we'll start teasing some things out there. But
we'll
it'll
be back to this conversation.
Yeah, this conversation is going to be ongoing for a long time.
We just won't be recording it.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting it out, right?
So stay tuned, and I appreciate all of you listening. You can find all of our information in the show notes, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Yeah.